Hello, mathematicians. Here is the video for the second review sheet, all about fractions and decimals. All right, let's take a look at this picture, and we're going to write a fraction and a decimal that matches. All right, I see a big old 1. Do you see a big old 1? That whole mat. And then let's count the little squares. I see 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And we're going to call it 25 hundredths because it takes 100 little squares to fill up this whole mat. All right, let's write it as a decimal. If there's a big old 1 in my fraction, I need a 1 in my decimal. And then the little pieces after are going to go after that decimal, 25 hundredths. It should look like a 25, and it kind of goes up to the hundredths place. All right, second picture, I see 12 little squares. And remember that we're calling them hundredths because it takes 100 of them to equal one whole mat. 12 hundredths, there's no whole number. It should look like a 12, and it kind of goes up to the hundredths place. You also could think one mat, boom, 2 strips right there, 5 little squares right there, 0 mats, 1 strip, and 2 little squares. Okay. All right, greater than, less than, or equal to. If the denominators are not the same, make them the same. Let's make this 3 into a 12 so it matches that one. So think, how do you make a 3 into 12? You multiply by 4. And if you multiply the bottom by 4, you need to multiply the top by 4 because we're trying to find an equivalent fraction. All right, now that the denominators are the same, it should be really easy to tell which one's bigger, 8 twelfths or 7 twelfths. 8 twelfths is bigger. All right, next one. If the denominators are not the same, make them the same. Some people say this is less than a half and this is equal to a half, so this one's going to be bigger, but it's usually a good idea to make the denominators the same, then you'll know for sure. Can you make that 3 into a 6 so it matches this one? Think, 3 times what equals 6? 3 times 2 equals 6. And if you multiply the bottom by 2, you better multiply the top by 2, and we get 2 sixths. All right, what's bigger, 2 sixths or 3 sixths? 3 sixths. All right, again, let's make these denominators the same, and then they're easier to compare. I'm going to multiply the bottom by 10 and the top by 10, but just to be faster, I'm going to add a 0 to the bottom and a 0 to the top. 8 strips is the same as 80 little squares. All right, what's bigger, 65 hundredths or 80 hundredths? Maybe even think of a quiz. What's a better score or a test, 65 or 80? 80 is a better score. Okay, next one. Let's make those denominators the same. I think we can make this 9 into an 18 so it matches that one by doubling the bottom. And of course, we also need to double the top. And the reason I'm doubling it is because I'm trying to make that 9 into an 18 so it matches this one. 9 times 2, there's the 18 I wanted. 4 times 2. Okay, what's bigger, 10 eighteenths or 8 eighteenths? 10. Okay, down below, just like the one up above it, if I multiply the top by 10 and the bottom by 10, now they're both hundredths, and it's easier to tell which one's bigger, or in this case, that they are equal. All right, this one goes up to the hundredths place, so I want to make this one go up to the hundredths place as well. Now I can tell that they're equal. Again, down here, goes up to the hundredths place. Let's make this one go up to the hundredths place. Adding a 0 at the end makes it look a little different on your eyeballs, but it's still the same amount. And you could think about money. Excuse me. What's bigger, 47 cents or 50 cents? 50 cents is bigger. And this one, they both already go up to the hundredths place. So maybe think money, 9 cents or 90 cents. 90 cents is bigger. All right, let's write these fractions as decimals. Say them out loud. That's very helpful. 72 hundredths. 72 hundredths. It looks like a 72, and it goes up to the hundredths place. 7/10 is a 7 in the tenths place. 1 and 1500ths. So I need a big old 1. Okay, that whole number comes before the decimal. And then the fraction will come after the decimal. 1500ths, it should look like a 15, and it kind of goes up to the hundredths place. 200ths means a 2 in the hundredths place. So make sure that zero's there to bump that 2 over to the hundredths spot. 2 out of 100 on a test would be a terrible score, very low. And I hope this decimal kind of looks small to you as well. All right, let's say it out loud. 9/10, 9/10. 1 and 7/10, 1 and 7/10. 5 is in the hundredths place. 5/100ths, 5/100ths. 63/100ths, 63/100ths. Okay, let's take a look at the back. Adding or subtracting. Before you add or subtract, the denominators need to be the same. So let's take this first fraction and make it into hundredths so it matches this one by multiplying the bottom by 10 and the top by 10. Now and only now can we add. The denominator stays the same. All you have to do is 60 plus 22. Oh gosh, that got real fuzzy. 60 plus 22 is 82. Okay, next one. I'm going to add the whole numbers first. Big old 2 plus a big old 3 is a big old 5. 1/8 plus 3/8 is 4/8. Remember, the denominator stays the same. We just have to add the 1 and the 3. Okay, this subtraction is a little bit hard because 1 and 1/3, you can't do the 1/3 minus the 2/3 part. So I would make this mixed number into an improper fraction. This 1 whole is worth 3/3 because everything's in thirds. So I know that 1 whole is 3/3. And 3/3 plus 1/3 is 4/3. So let's think of that mixed number as 4/3. Now I can do 4/3 minus 2/3. The denominator stays the same. We just need to subtract the numerators. All right, if the denominators are not the same, let's make them the same. If one is in hundredths, let's make the other one in hundredths by multiplying the bottom and top by 10. Now that they're both hundredths, remember the denominator stays the same and we just need to subtract the top. 54 minus 30 is 24. All right, multiplying. 4 times 2/4 means we're going to draw 2/4 4 full times. Now you could draw it out. And you could say, I'm going to draw 2/4 once, 2/4 twice, 2/4 3 times, and 2/4 4 full times. And I can see that the answer is either a big old 2 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8/4. Either one would be fine. Now, when I was a kid, and probably when your parents were a kid, the teacher said, just put a 1 underneath that whole number and multiply straight across. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4, and that's fine as well. All right, let's do that. Put a 1 underneath and multiply straight across. And when we were kids, we said, okay, 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. And I know that that equals a big old 2, but let's draw a picture. 3 times 2/3 means draw 2/3 3 full times. Thirds sort of looks like a peace sign. Okay, I'm going to draw 2/3 3 full times. Okay, here's 2/3 once. Here's 2/3 twice. Here's 2/3 3 times. And I can see that there are 6 pieces, 6/3, but it's also the same as a big old 2. All right, Carla is sewing 2 patches on her pants. She has 4/5 of a yard of blue and 2/3 of a yard of red. Okay, which piece is longer? So we're comparing 4/5 to 2/3. If the denominators are not the same, make them the same. So I'm going to write down 4/5 and 2/3. And I'm trying to think, what do a 5 and a 3 have in common? What is the first number that I could make them both into? And if you counted by 5s, 5, 10, 15. And you counted by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. The first number they have in common is 15. So let's try to make those denominators 15. How do you make a 5 into 15? 5 times what is 15? 5 times 3. And if you multiply the bottom by 3, you better multiply the top by 3. And I get 12/15, okay, which is totally the same thing as 4/5, equivalent. All right, let's make this bottom fraction also into 15ths. How do you make a 3 into 15? You multiply by 5. And if you multiply the bottom by 5, you better multiply the top by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 5 is 10. All right, now that they're both 15ths, it should be really easy to tell which one's bigger. Or think about a quiz. What's a better score, 12/15 or 10/15? Dude, 12/15 is definitely bigger, which means the blue thread is longer. Okay. All right, last one. Ezra ran 35/100ths of a mile. Cora ran 4/10ths. Who ran farther? The first thing I would do is make the denominators the same. Okay, so I'm going to make 4/10ths and show that it's the same thing as 40/100ths. And I know that 40/100ths is definitely bigger than 35/100ths. So who ran more? Cora. And then it says, how much did they run in all? In all means adding it together. And I already have made the denominators the same. So let's use that. So we can add it to 35/100ths for Ezra. And just like before, the denominator stays the same, and we just have to add the top. 40 plus 35 is 75, which is our answer. All right, let me show you the answers real quick one more time, and hopefully you did really well. Here's the first page, if I can get it to not be too blurry. All right, first page. And second page. All right, kids, I will see you in class.